Greetings, casual citizens. I'm Paul, and I'm joined as always by my illustrious co-host Jason.
Howdy.
And we are here reviewing Handmaid's Tale, Season 3, Episode 4. God Bless the Child, I think is the name of this one.
They only gave us one this time.
Yeah, they only gave us one episode this time, so we're reviewing it the day of. Hopefully I'll get it up tonight. Yeah, so what were your overall thoughts?
I didn't think I was going to see more of Aunt Lydia crying, but I'm glad I did. I want to know what's going on with her.
Okay.
I'm fascinated by her.
Well, we're going to get a backstory of her. We're going to get an episode
We know
about
that
her
to be
backstory.
true. We know that to be true.
That has been confirmed.
Ooh.
She was a teacher, and then I don't know what else beyond that. I was just reading an article about it today. IO9 interviewed her, and she mentioned it in there. And apparently it was her idea for her to be a teacher like 2 seasons ago. That's what she imagined in her head.
What
That was
kind of
Lydia's
seed
story.
will you be, girls?
Yeah. That's what she imagined in her head Aunt Lydia would be.
Yeah.
And then the writers went with that, but apparently they added some other stuff too.
Do you remember the scene she cried in last time?
No.
It was with the bell. As soon as she was ringing the bell real hard, and so she was ringing the bell so hard so no one could hear her sobbing. I think it was after she almost hung them, or after she did something to of Warren.
Oh, when she took her eye?
No, it was way later. No. I think it was the beginning of season 2, or in retaliation to them not stoning that girl.
Oh,
Yeah.
I don't remember.
Yeah.
I remember them not stoning that girl.
Well, anywho, yeah, it was a bell. She was sobbing.
Oh,
And
okay.
then she's ringing it
Oh,
like a church bell, not like
Okay.
a little dinner bell.
okay. Well, we'll get back to Aunt Lydia. I think that's gonna be the big thing. But
Yeah,
overall,
big fan.
yeah, you liked it.
Don't ever bother asking again on this because it's always good.
It's not always.
It's always-
It could be not good. I see some people are starting to be unhappy with it.
Really? How come?
Yeah, I don't know. They said that. So part of the criticism I read about this episode is that it's kind of slow. Like it's not as action packed as the first 3 episodes. Certainly not the first 2. And this is more slow down and focus on characters and stuff like that.
Oh, that sounds awful. Boo.
Well, I know, no, but what
I love
they say
it.
is I did too. But what they say is like, whereas in previous seasons when they would do that, it was really interesting because there was always a sense of tension and dread because everything was so bad. But now that we're getting 4 seasons in, this is a fair criticism that June has a lot of plot armor happening right now, and so it makes everything feel more shallow because it feels like the stakes aren't as high as they used to be.
Well, they're not
particularly
as high.
for June.
Yeah, I think the stakes are as high because she's kind of resigned herself to probably dying at this task. So she just kind of, she just flukes her way through. I feel like that's valid plot armor. I claim that in stories, if the protagonist takes the position, well, you know what? F it. I'm just gonna risk everything and go for it. Like you have to, like the audience wants the payoff so bad that they make it, right? That's fine.
Yeah. I don't know. Well, we'll get into it. So for me overall, yeah, a really good episode. I enjoyed this episode a lot. I'm enjoying what they're doing. So I disagree with obviously that sentiment. I do have some thoughts on plot armor, but overall, the moments in this episode were so strong. The moments, every single scene with Emily and Oliver were just excellent. Oh, they hit those old heartstrings, and then the scene with Lydia, I think, with Aunt Lydia and June and Janine was really, really powerful. And we are starting to lay the foundations of what's going to be some interesting hashtag resistance going forward with June and Serena in particular. So I'm really interested to see where that goes. So overall, I thought it was a really powerful episode. I like that it slowed down a little bit. So I overall really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I still don't see a way out. I'm excited to find out what their plan becomes, unless they're just gonna do treason, and that's what I'm worried. I really don't want it to just be treason, right? I'm worried that that Serena is just gonna find out some information about the military and give it to June. June gives it to Chicago, and then I'm pro Chicago not being owned by Gilead.
Well,
Don't get me
that's
wrong.
still treason.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like that's what I'm expecting. Like I don't want that. I don't want them to just like, oh well, we just gave information to the enemy of Gilead. Right?
Oh no,
Like,
you want outright revolt.
yeah.
Oh yeah,
yes,
yeah.
yes, yes.
I think that's where it's going.
I hope so.
I think that's where it's going. But before we go any further, I'll just remind you to like, comment, and subscribe. And also check out. So we just posted today.
And I'd like to persuade you to like, comment, and subscribe.
I'd like to just ask you politely. We posted today our thoughts on episodes 1 through 3. It was posted today at noon. We couldn't get it out the day of because they posted 3 episodes. Anyway, we talk about it in there, why it took us a little longer. But yeah, here we are reviewing episode 4. So this one's going to go back to our normal format, which is where we're going to actually talk about specific points from this episode, and just instead of in that one, we just kind of went generally over what we thought so far. But yeah, go ahead and check that out and like that one as well. And follow us on social media, twitter.com/casualnotion, instagram.com/casualnotion, facebook.com/casualnotion, and twitch.tv/casualnotion, because we'll do something there at some point again. All right, so getting into the stuff that happened with this episode, I feel like we cannot, we have to start with basically Aunt Lydia, right?
Mm-hmm.
That scene. So Janine... so I guess the episode actually kind of starts with everybody going to a baptism, and then afterwards, they apparently the Putnams, who was Janine, her, she had the baby and
her family,
and then she was having an affair with the guy Warren, and then she was standing at the bridge, and June saved the baby and all that stuff, and anyway. They she was, that baby was being baptized that day, so everybody gets invited back to their house, and Janine at some point goes in to the living room and asks to hold the baby, and Commander Warren's wife, what's her name?
Oh,
I don't remember.
Mrs. Putnam.
She allows Janine to hold the baby
in the name of Christ,
and salvation and all that. And she actually says some stuff.
About Christ.
Yeah, something about Jesus. Anyway, so Janine holds the baby. Janine, I thought, was going to freak out, but she didn't. She held it. She gave it back.
Yeah.
And everything was fine. And then
did you notice the crying?
Yeah, the baby definitely cried more with her than...
Yeah, that used to not be the case. It was the opposite in the past, and now oh man, that really hurt me.
That hurts.
And I think that's why she gave it up.
It could be. I think
that baby was uncomfortable.
Yes, that's part of it. I also do think that she has come to resign herself to this life, and she's like, oh, this could be not bad. If I get to stay here with this baby and this guy that she liked, then that's not so bad, right? So I think that's the way she looked at it. I mean,
I don't think she's ever going to change, because no, I think you're wrong, because she right before she got beat, she said, I just want to be with my child, and I don't think that's ever that's gonna be her central motivating feature always.
Well, sure, I think that's gonna be for almost anybody.
No, I know, but it's not. Well. But that leads us into.
But what I mean though is I don't think it's like a June situation where she would try to take the baby and escape to Canada.
Right.
I think she would just be fine just to live her life in that house.
Oh yeah,
as long as she's with the
baby. Sure,
yeah.
sure.
So anyway, Aunt Lydia, so she offers, hey, I want to come back and be your handmaid again.
Right.
I could give you a brother or sister for the baby.
Yeah.
Whose name I also forget. And Aunt Lydia jumps in and just starts wailing on her.
Mm-hmm.
And
with what looks like a nightstick.
Yeah, well, it's that shock stick that they use.
Yeah, which is basically just a solid rod.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
It's a nightstick. It's a nightstick with a taser built into it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and the thing that I found interesting was how uncomfortable everybody else immediately looked. It's like, wait,
I'd never seen the sausage made.
Okay, but haven't they? I mean, they walk.
They beat their wife in the privacy of their own home, but now they have to, in public, you have to call that out.
Yeah.
Obviously.
This feels super Southern to me,
no.
Which is weird because they're in Connecticut.
No. I mean, this isn't that mysterious, right? I mean, they all know what happens, but
it just seemed weird for them to be so Because even after Janine left, it wasn't the impression I got that their looks weren't just like, oh, you're not supposed to do this in public, as much as it was like, I can't believe you would do that. And
Yeah,
I
know.
And I'm like, dude, you cut off your wife's hand because she read the Bible.
I know. That's exactly my point, though. They all have to act like this kind of thing doesn't go on around each other, but like they're all part. So it's okay. So if two wives get caught talking about how the state is beating the shit out of this girl, right? And it's way too much. That's treason. You could go on the wall for that. Just discussing sedition like that can get like. But in this situation, everybody has to play like, well, we didn't know Chernobyl blew up, right? I don't. This isn't mysterious. This is. I think this is 1984 Orwellian 101, right?
Okay, I don't know. I guess. I feel like we've seen at least the wives obviously have discussed this stuff in the past.
Sure, but this is a house party with all the commanders and all the wives.
Yeah.
I mean, they're all supposed to get a sudden realization together that this is wrong? Like, or that this is like, okay.
Well,
you're making me do all the work here. You go ahead.
No,
Tell me why. Tell me why this is strange.
No, I guess it seems strange to me because I was like, well, wait, why is this the thing that shocks you? But to be fair, I see your point that it probably is just a formality, social graces thing. Because if they were really concerned, they would have stopped it.
Yeah, none of them stopped it.
That's fair, right? So I guess it wasn't shock so much because it can't be shock. They have to know. They know the stuff. I mean, she's missing an eye. They know
right, but
something is going on.
But none of them expected a beating to happen. A beating to happen at a baptism.
Right.
So this is just like
in someone's home. How could
and
you?
moreover, you could have drug her out
right
of this
in front
room.
of my salad.
Yeah, you could have drug her out of the room and done this.
Yeah.
I mean, no. I mean, honestly, if you took a dog to a party and you had to I don't know what the policy is on newspapers and noses nowadays with dogs. I don't know if that's animal abuse or what, but you'll get a different look if someone sees you do it in private, and if you bring it to a party and then you're beating the crap out of your dog at the house party, dog or no.
I mean, I even like a kid, right? And obviously, don't hit your kid at all. But like, there's a difference between scolding them or having a discussion with them, right? You take them in private, to keep them from crying or stuff like that. You don't do it in public and stuff.
Exactly.
So, yeah, I guess I see that. I don't know. I guess that's just not the impression I got at the beginning. But anyway, luckily June steps in, and I thought it was interesting that Lydia didn't start hitting her.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell if it was like.
You know what I think we're going to find out? I think I've got it. And I'm hoping what it is that she loses control because she really is just terrified that they will kill Janine if they don't see her beat the bejesus out of her. You see what I'm saying? Like she just goes off, and then she realizes that she's going to kill her, and she wouldn't have realized that until June got in front of her.
I think. I disagree. I think
you think she's a believer. You think she's a believer.
No. I think it's Stanford prison experiment. I think it's like she's given a position of authority, and she takes that to levels that she didn't think that she had in her, and so it takes her by surprise. When she can sort of metaphorically stand outside of herself and see what she just did, she's like, oh, maybe that wasn't what I intended, but I'm so lost in my power that this is what I did, and I snapped. And so obviously the big thing is that afterwards we see her go into the other room and she starts crying. And that was an interesting character moment because it peeled back some of the veneer of her just being this one-dimensional awful person to being like, she has layers of complexity about how she feels about this. And I think this is one of those situations where she's so consumed by her control and so consumed by the message, right? Like we talked in our first video, in our discussion of episodes 1 through 3, about exploring what this does, what living in this world does to the fascists, right? And I think she's an example of that, right? She's she's not at the top. She didn't design anything, but she's, the high level colonel in the SS, right, who has become part of a system, and then every once in a while gets a moment standing back to be like, oh wait, like if I just think about this past following orders, what did I just do? What am I doing? Right? And she has these moments.
That's possible. It's not impossible. That seems very probable, and I'm actually worried that that's exactly what they're going to do. But I'm hoping that what we find out is, do you remember that handmaid that was chained up in a dark room?
No.
As an example to June about how she could spend her pregnancy.
Wasn't that June? June spent some of her time chained up.
Yes. But they took her down. There was a girl who was, "You'll never leave this room. This is what you'll be like." And
I don't
you don't remember this at all? Oh, it was horrifying.
Okay.
Suffice to say that we met a handmaid last season, and I believe it was right before they changed June to the bed for a minute. And it was someone she knew, I believe, and they both had to act like everything was fine, but June knew that like this girl just like lives in the dark.
Yeah.
Right. And is chained to this bed in this room. I think that Aunt Lydia knows that this is an option for this system, is they can just keep them as prisoners properly. Like just literally chain them in a room, and then they'll just come down and rape them and then leave. And it's really not a problem anymore. But but keeping the system going keeps this fate from being the fate of all these girls, and even sending some of them to the colonies, even beating some of them to death, right? She can save a lot of them. She can she can maintain faith in this system that keeps them not being proper cattle. I wonder.
Sure,
I would like that more, and I hope there's all the pieces are there for it.
Sure, and I will say the interview that I read with the woman that plays Aunt Lydia, she kind of hinted at some of that stuff, because she talked about how at being a school teacher, that she has sort of that kind of protective vibe over the handmaids that a teacher would have over their students, right? And also a desire to be like, I'm just trying to do what's best for you. Why are you disobeying? I
am the path of least resistance.
Yes,
honey.
yeah. Like, I'm trying to save you. And that she actually, but that also is tied to your earlier comment about being a true believer. It also is tied to her actually being a true believer on things like, no, this world is better than the previous world.
Maybe.
And she has gotten confirmation bias because she's had a few handmaids, like June's original walking partner of
Emily.
No, the one before that, who blew herself up.
Oh, okay.
Because when June met her originally, right, she talked about how she used to be a drug addict and stuff beforehand, and she's like, now I got a nice house, I got a bed, I know where I'm sleeping every night, and all I got to do is have a kid, right? And then, of course, she had a kid and realized, like, oh no, this is real fucked up. And then so she went the other way and she blew herself up.
Yeah.
Go ahead, keep going. Well, I just think that that Lydia's seen some of those events, and I think Janine's another example of that. People who didn't have it, some of these women didn't have it great before all this happened, and so she sees enough of those cases that she's convinced herself that, oh no, this is a better way. That she really does believe me, because remember, she gave that speech about you guys had too much choice, and June references it in this episode. You had too much choice in the previous world, and now we've simplified things for you, and that makes it better for you. I think she really does believe that.
I don't know. I hope not, but it's very probable. Yeah,
I mean,
I find that to be a lot shallower than her like desperately just like putting on this facade. I want it all to be a facade.
I mean, but at the same time, it's very on brand for Christian fundamentalists, for any religious fundamentalist, right? But they do believe what they're doing is better for your soul.
Sure, but I'm sure there's also been people who worked for the church doing horrific things that they couldn't get out of, that didn't believe a word of it.
Oh yeah,
I'm sure that there are people who have.
Do you think any of those commanders really believe in the bullshit they're peddling?
No. I mean, people like forced to burn people at the stake, like the actual people doing the dirty work, like Aunt Lydia.
Yeah.
I'm sure there've been plenty of people who just didn't believe a word of it, didn't want to do it, but were willing to do it to keep others safe.
Yeah.
That's why
Well, and how much of it is also self-preservation, right? She can't have kids, I would presume, anymore. Right.
Yeah.
So what is her place in the world if she's not doing this?
Yeah. We'll have to find out. It's all speculation at this point. I want to bring up something we talked about last time, because I didn't think about it, but you know how we were saying, remember, we have heard on 2 occasions, at least one reference and one direct claim, that the infertility plague is the men's fault.
Yeah, well, it's on the men.
But here's the thing. We know that one of the problems they're having with infertility is that babies are being born as, quote, shredders.
Yeah.
Right? Now,
Yeah.
how could that possibly be from the sperm? You know what I mean? How could that not be a gestation issue?
Well, I guess I don't necessarily know that we know that it's only the men's fault.
Yeah.
But it's not exclusively the women's fault, which is the way Gilead portrays
I'm
it.
sure, of course they portray it that way. Of course.
I guess that's probably the more likely scenario, which is they're both at fault. And, like Canada recognizes that, right? Like this is something that's happening to just humans in general. Whereas Gilead's like, nope, solely the men. Like
no,
Fred.
For sure.
Fred is clearly infertile because how many times did they do the ceremony with June and didn't work? One time with Nick.
Yeah.
She has a kid, right?
The commander had sex with Nick? I'm joking. No, I agree.
That would have been a totally different show. That would have been a more interesting show.
Of course I agree.
So yeah, I mean, I guess it's kind of both. I don't know. I guess I didn't think it was.
I didn't think about
that.
I didn't think about that.
Yeah, because they mentioned earlier in, I guess it was season 1, maybe season 2, but when we started getting the flashbacks to when Hannah was born.
Yep, she was worried that she would be a shredder. Yep.
Well, yeah, but not just that. But remember how many, like that was the only kid born that lived in, I think, weeks or something, they said.
Yes.
And there was there were other women there having kids, and every single one of them was stillborn, including a woman that stole Hannah, right?
Oh, right. I forgot about that.
So yeah, I guess we knew that beforehand, but yeah, we didn't hear about it obviously being called a shredder, but
you keep saying her name backwards, by the way.
Who?
Hannah.
You don't know that it's spelled with an H at the end.
I ought to be.
If it was good, but I don't think it is. This is Handmaid's Tale, not Arrival. So, all right. Well, speaking of baptism, because we started out with everyone gathering for a baptism of actually, I said the new baby in my notes, but all the babies. There was multiple babies there, right? We kept getting flashbacks throughout the episode too, to June and Luke baptizing Hannah. What did you think about that? What were your thoughts on that?
I mean, if you want the Lord to have rights to your baby, then go at it, I guess.
I found it interesting because it seemed clear to me. I don't know. Maybe I got the wrong vibe that this was really like Luke wanted this, right? That it was not something June was particularly interested in, but she was doing it for Luke. Did you get that vibe too?
No.
Okay?
No, I think I got the vibe that they were carefree back then. I really did. I got the.
So why have their kid baptized?
Yeah. What's that?
Why? So why have their kid baptized if they're carefree?
Oh, I don't know. I think that which one of them was born Catholic or raised Catholic, June or Luke? Because they had both.
Probably both.
But they had both. They had
because they live near Boston,
but they had a Protestant baptism and they had a Catholic baptism this episode, right? They did both to her.
No.
Okay. I remember it happening.
There's only one baptism for Hannah. Then there was another baptism at the end.
Yep, I remember that.
Of Nicole.
Okay.
And
if you say so.
I think they were both Catholic.
Comments. I remember them going to do it twice for Hannah. They did it once. Okay. I mean, hey.
I don't think so.
Then I'm wrong.
And I got the vibe that this was all for Luke's benefit because there's a scene towards the end where Luke is making comments like, oh, he's making comments about God. I don't remember exactly what he said, but he's making comments that like, oh, she's good with God now or something like that. And June just kind of be like, she's like, okay. Right. That's cute. Right. That she didn't really care about it. Of course, our mom didn't care for it at all. Right. So I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
I'm completely misremembering this. I remember Luke asking her if she was into this or something, or and I just remember the look on her face was like, yeah, I don't care, sure.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Right.
I think she looks kind of ambivalent about it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, sure.
Okay.
I don't think she's religious, if that's your question.
Yeah. Well,
yeah, I don't think June is religious.
Right. Okay. Because one of the things that kind of bothered me, and it doesn't super bother me, but is how it's like, man, even in the show that's about religious fundamentalist fascism, right? like you still just can't commit to having all your protagonists be non-believers, right? It's like every show that deals with religion and that even deals with it from the standpoint of like religion being this awful thing being used to an extreme, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's just like there's always at least
It's
one or all the protagonists are also religious, and there's like this isn't, and it's like,
No, I didn't think that was the point you're making, but I'm glad it is.
why?
I thought you were saying something else. Carry on.
Well, it's just it kind of as a non-believer,
Mm-hmm.
it frustrates me because it's like, can somebody just commit to having a full protagonist crew of non-believers, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I get it, like in the U.S. especially, it's not like this is Scandinavia where like 90% of the people don't believe in a god, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is America where non-believers are like 20% of the population.
Mm-hmm.
So we need liberal believers on our side, right? But still, it's like after seeing, like at the end when we see Luke and Moira baptizing Nicole and he's like, their sins are no longer on her. I'm like, really, dude, you still believe this? Like, come on, man. How does this not how does this not sway your opinion at all? You know?
Mm-hmm. No, I've never liked Luke. I mean,
well, it's not about Luke though.
I think he's dumb. I think he's just a dumb guy. I don't like him. I don't think I've ever seen him successfully accomplish anything, and other than just be irritating. I hate to say it. I mean, I guess he tried to give his life to keep his kids and his kid and wife, give him a head start, which was nice of him. But what else? I mean, he's just complained. He's complained when other people are suffering. It's all he does. Well,
I mean, okay, I don't know. I guess I don't get that, but
with his reaction to Emily.
But it's but it's just like I said last time. It's not like he's not suffering too.
Okay, sure.
He lost his wife and daughter.
Yes.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And unlike Emily, who's gotten her family back, he still doesn't.
Well, he can go thank God for it.
Well, okay. Anyway, speaking of Emily, so I was questioning at the end of episode 3 whether or not we would see her and see some of her reunion with her family, and I was worried because we didn't see her at all in episode 3. But no, she's back for episode 4, and she's a big part of this episode, which I really liked. So she comes back. She meets with her wife, I guess still current wife, and at some point meets her son Oliver, who's gotten a lot bigger since the last time she saw him.
I know, it was so sweet.
Every single scene with her,
she's great. I love
great actress.
What's her name? You know her name? I don't remember her actress's name.
No, I don't.
She's great though.
I don't either. But she is great. And also, well, I mean, the actress that plays her wife is also great. She's from Veep. I don't know her name either. But she played the Secret Service agent that married Julia Louis-Dreyfus' daughter in Veep. She was hilarious in that show, and she's good in the show too. But just the scenes that we got with her when her son starts to read, it was heartbreaking.
Oh, I know.
Heartbreaking.
Why are we reading this little shit anyways if you can read?
Well, because you read,
I know why.
You read to your kid as part of a
Don't
bonding
explain to me
experience.
reading to the kid. I understand.
Well, then why'd you ask? Don't ask if you know the answer.
Wasn't an ask. It was rhetorical.
Okay. Well, you should specify.
Okay, I will specify rhetorical remarks.
There you go. All right. Anyway, the one thing that I found interesting is how, I guess, she's still trying to recover and get used to this life. You see bits of it with her, looking around, just kind of like, oh, this place looks so different than where I just came from, but also to the extent that she's not even going to stay with her family. She's going to get, she talks about it at the end of the episode.
Yeah, I don't know.
She's going to get a hotel.
Yeah, which is, I guess she's just not sure what to do. I have no idea how to.
I don't know, but I've never experienced a trauma like that, so I don't understand all that. For the kid, I totally loved the way she was super woke liberal about it, about how we'll hug whenever we're both ready, right? And it was so nice because it was like, that actually makes sense. I understand all the times you see in other shows where like parents, I mean, June does it in this show, right?
Mm-hmm.
She immediately goes to hug Hannah every time she sees her. And the first time, Hannah really kind of reacted like, well, I don't really know you that well, you know? But keep in mind that Hannah was, what, 5 or 6 when they got separated. So she probably does remember her mom. Oliver, he doesn't have it. He was a baby when she went away. He doesn't know her at all.
Mm-hmm.
But on the other hand, kudos to her wife for apparently like keeping that memory alive, right? Saw all the pictures.
How long has she been gone exactly?
I mean, I gotta imagine it's been 5, 6, 7 years.
7 years.
Because the kid was a baby when her wife and him went to Canada, and now he's. I mean, he's in elementary school. He's reading.
It can't be that long, can it?
It has to be. He went from a baby to is functionally reading science books.
Let us know in the comments how long ago this is.
He's got to be 7 or 8.
Yeah, it does seem that way. He is drawing and reading.
So it's got to be 5, 6 years.
Yeah.
Right?
I guess so.
So, because he definitely wasn't talking when they went away. I mean, he was still a baby.
Mm-hmm.
So, anyway, but kudos to her wife for keeping her memory alive so that he does remember her. And that all of that was just super sweet. And the way he totally handled it, right? When she broke up, she couldn't keep reading anymore. And he was like, "Oh, I can read." I was like, "Oh, you got me.
Yeah.
You got me right there."
So what did you think about June's walkie partner? The new one.
She's awful. She is so awful, and I hate it.
Now, I'm not going to disagree about her being awful, but I get the impression that she is. I mean, she had 3 kids in this system.
Yeah.
I mean, what else is she gonna do? The idea of running and getting Hannah and running away seems a lot more plausible than picking up 3 kids and running away, right? So she's just married to the system. I gotta believe. It's just like, this is it. Then this is the only way I'm ever gonna get near my kids. I'm ever gonna see them. Right?
I feel like it goes deeper than that.
You think she's into just giving up her kids?
No, I think it's. Well, I mean, I think it could be a combination of some kind of Stockholm syndrome of just like, oh, this is God's plan or whatever, and it could also be down to the way it was with June's first walking partner, who just like, hey, because we don't know her backstory. My life was shit before this, and now things aren't so bad. I'm
calling my shot. She's just resigned to the system because of the amount of children. In fact, I bet that's the argument that we'll make through her character arc. Is she'll make the argument it's because I have 3 kids in this system that I can't go anywhere.
Okay,
I can't say anything. I'm just gonna do it.
But
I'm gonna be a good girl.
right. But that doesn't mean you have to. Like, there's I could understand being like, hey, you know what? I'm not joining your resistance. I don't think it's going to work, and there's too much at stake for me, right? Like, I want to be alive to see my kids whenever I can. There's a difference between that and then being like, no. God is watching you. I'm going to turn you in. So right? She got this girl got what she deserved.
Right. I hear you. I think, okay, but think about it from this perspective. Do you really think they'd make her this awful? As you say, she came up behind June and beaten Janine and said, well, serves her right.
Yeah.
Do you think that is just on the level? That's just her base level of chill?
Well, what I'm hoping...
That's got to be a facade.
Yeah, I'm hoping it's a facade and then she's actually like not resigned to the system, that she's actually like testing, right? She's
the test.
Yeah.
That'd be cool. I could be into that.
Right. Or that she's deeper involved and she's trying to keep it away, or she's trying to see how June reacts to it, things like that. That's what I'm hoping. But if that's I just, because they did that once, it would be a bit on the nose to do it again. So I feel like that's just not where
I think we're
going to
find out that she's under the impression that if she doesn't toe the party line, her kids would suffer, and she gets mad when people don't toe the line with her. Don't make waves. I got kids in this system. I don't know.
Could be. I don't know.
Could not be. She could just be awful. She could just be awful. Don't get me wrong. But the thing is, she's so awful, so directly.
I know.
There's just no way that's their plan. That's the writing. They're just going to go, okay, well, she's just awful all the time, and that's just her character.
And I gotta say, to go extra liberal here, there's a part of it that bothers me that she's one of the few women of color on the show, and she's just so awful. It's just like, I hope there's something better to it. You see what I'm saying?
I guess.
Because she seems like such a caricature. And it's like, I hope that that's a facade. Because if her character is just so one-dimensionally awful, it's just...
I would have never in a million years thought, oh, well, this character is real mean and she's black. There must be something to that. I don't think this...
Well, but it's subconscious. I don't think the authors would have thought of it either.
Okay.
You see what I'm
that's
saying?
a little better. That's a little better. But I also don't think even these authors would subconsciously...
Oh, I hope not.
I mean, half this movie was about a gay family. I don't think that...
I mean, I hope not, but that's what makes it subconscious. You do it without thinking about it. You do it without even recognizing that you're doing it.
I wonder if we find out. Oh man, I would love someone in the comments. I ruin Paul's day. I hope so. I hope we find out that the part wasn't written for a black person at all, and they just cast her. It was already written.
Sure, I mean that could be too. But then at some point, somebody didn't stop to think about like, oh,
we shouldn't hire this person who is black.
No.
They should have stopped and thought about it.
No, that maybe this is a bad look, right? Maybe we shouldn't have one of our few women of color be a terrible person who's against choice.
We should rewrite the character who acts it very well.
No.
So that...
No, you should make some other you should make more characters, more diversity in all the characters so that it's not an issue.
You don't think the characters are diverse? Their personalities and motives. You took us here. Hey, look.
No, I mean, look, of what's left of the Handmaids, no. Can you think of a single non-white handmaid other than one that...
Well, no, but that's not a mystery. That's not a Star Wars casting issue. That is, we know where the black people are.
What?
They're not in Gilead.
Well, no, that's a problem that I've had with the show is they are. There's an African-American commander.
I understand, but the whole lot of them are over, I think, Montana. There's like a whole, I'm pretty sure there's a whole, I don't want to call it what I think it's called, but I think there's a whole colony over in the western area.
Yeah.
They just took black people and Liberia'd them over there.
Oh.
Yeah, I think so.
I see. Have we heard that in the show?
I'm pretty sure, yes.
Because the book was more explicit about this. So you might be thinking about the book. The book was more explicit that there was a lot of racism involved.
Well,
and the show has sidestepped that.
I'm pretty sure. It's been a long time since I read this book, but I am pretty sure, yes, that even in the book there's a call. They moved them into some sovereign state that's.
That's what I'm
Wakanda,
saying.
Right?
That's what I'm saying. That makes sense in the book because the book was clear that Gilead was pretty racist.
Yeah.
The show has not been clear about that. The show has played with.
They haven't.
We have Moira, and she's a handmaid.
But I mean,
we have an African American.
But Jesus Christ, Paul, use your imagination. Where do you think the black people went in Gilead?
I think they just
murdered them all.
Except for the ones in the show.
You think that the people who wrote this show thought just didn't realize how white the cast is? You think they overlooked it? Except that everyone in Canada, we see all sorts of different colored people.
Yeah.
But in Gilead, it's all white, and you think that's mysterious?
I think it's mysterious that they haven't addressed it more directly. If they're trying to make a statement about it, I think it should be more direct. I think that it's a bit ambiguous, and so I don't know what other conclusion I can draw other than they just have cast a bunch of white people.
But they don't cast them for the Canada scenes, right?
I don't notice where Canada is all that diverse.
The two main characters in Canada are black.
Well, yeah, but I mean they're American, right? They're related to June.
So you want,
and Moira was obviously,
but so is the mean walking partner. She's American.
Yeah.
What's your American point?
No, it's just that of the characters that we see in Gilead.
I think it's a real shame that these writers are racist. I agree with you. I agree with you. I agree with you.
That's not
come to bat with more than that. Hit me.
That's not at all what I said. I'm just saying, whatever. I said what I said.
You did say it's not crazy. You're not a crazy person. I hear you. I think it's a bit unwarranted. I mean, I don't know that
it wasn't I didn't make a major deal of it.
No,
anyway.
I did though. I was playing with. I was going crazy with it.
I just looked at it like
I had time to know it was coming.
That's a shame.
I've been thinking about it. I knew it was coming.
Yeah, because you know me. Also because I told you earlier.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
But anyway,
fine. No, I think we're gonna find out she's great, or that she's sad and desperate, and that's fine too. Deep character. I don't care if they're a mean character. I don't care if they're a bad person. I just want them to have deep characters. So what would make me feel like it was a little bit on the racial side is if we found out that she was just mean.
Yeah,
then
that's
I would
what
be
I'm
100% on your corner here. But I think it's obvious.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
But it seems obvious that there's depth to her character because she's
It doesn't seem obvious to me, but I hope that it's true.
She walked right up to them and said she got what she deserved after they showed everyone being horrified at this merciless beating to climactic music.
Yeah.
Right? And then she says this. There's no way that's just where her arc ends. Right.
I hope so.
Yeah, I hope so. Well, I hope so too.
I hope so too. Because otherwise, yes, that would be awful.
Yeah.
So part of what I was saying there too was also that, like, yes, she is such a character that I'm hoping it's not real.
Sure.
And it would be way better if it's not real. And I believe the authors have the ability to do that. And I just hope that's what we're seeing.
I do too. If there's a woke thing going on like that can be done, I feel like these writers, they seem pretty on it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I trust them a little bit. I give them a little bit of leeway here.
Okay.
I mean,
it's just I always get a little. I think you trust white cosmopolitan liberals more than I do.
That's probably true. Trust but verify. It's
especially watching not Handmaid's Tale, Big Little Lies. Which, by the way, go check out our review of Big Little Lies, season 2, episode 1, because that show is just like, man, this is why people hate fucking white rich liberals. Like, they're just like, they're living in Monterey. They're on the beach. They're all driving Audis and Mercedes.
Mm-hmm.
Their kids are going to one of the best schools in the country. And they're so uppity and they're so fake about like charities and stuff like that. And like charities is just part of like a status, right? Mm-hmm. And it's just like, oh, this is where virtue signaling comes from. This is where people came up with this term. It's for people like you. And it just reminds me of that every time. And it's like, it's one of the worst things about that show. But otherwise, it's a great show. So go watch our review on it. Big Little Lies, season 2, episode 1. It's on YouTube. So I guess we'll wrap this up.
Well, Serena.
With Serena in June.
Yeah.
So how do you feel about this?
I really like it. Well, I spoke on it a little bit. My major concern about this being like a surface level plot. I want this to be I want this to end up in Bedlam within Gilead, right?
Right.
Did I use that word properly? Bedlam? Chaos? Yeah. I want that to happen, but I'm worried that I worry that they'll chicken out, and what they'll do is they'll just go, that Serena will get some information, that she'll hear it, she'll be involved, and she'll just feed it to the resistance, or she'll feed it to the Americans, right? Because we saw in the trailer, I'm pretty sure we saw her in Hawaii. So I wonder if she just defects with a bunch of information. I'm worried about that.
Wait, we saw Serena in Hawaii?
I'm pretty sure we saw her coming off a plane and meeting that guy from the bar who offered her treason and coconuts.
Oh,
I think so. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments.
I don't remember seeing that in the trailer.
I do, but I could be wrong. So anywho.
Okay.
But I think so. Also, they set that up. I think they took some time with that character in season 2 when she was in Canada. I think we'll see him again. I think that something will come of that offer.
Well, okay. I hope so. Actually, that would be an interesting callback, and that wouldn't necessarily preclude more Bedlam happening.
It doesn't.
It could be that she's going there to get resources.
Right? Sure. Or that becomes a double agent. That'd be super cool.
Yeah. That'd be interesting.
I'd be so down. I want it to be deep. I want it to be a deep thing that she does. And I don't want it to be just her feeding information to someone.
Right. And I want it to be revolutionary. By the end of this season, I want to see some shit get burned down. Other than the house.
I could stand just seeing Battle of Chicago.
I don't think we'll see that. I don't think we'll see a fight. Like a battle with guns and stuff like that. It's gonna be no. They'll talk about it. It's gonna be because that's not the tone of the show. This isn't Game of Thrones. It's not the tone of the show to have some big set piece battle. It's the tone of the show to be in the shadows, right? To be more we're planning these things out, and then you get some one big moment, like we got the woman that blew herself up, the handmaid that blew herself up and blew up that building with it, right? We'll get one big moment, and we'll maybe get a few of those. There'll be some coordinated act of resistance. I guess you would call it terrorism in their case, but we wouldn't call it terrorism.
Bajoran militarism.
Yeah. You'll get some coordinated series of events that happen.
Sure.
That's what I'm expecting.
If I'm going to be real with you, I'm expecting for them to win Chicago, for America to win Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
But we find out that this resistance thing, it's all fake. It's just a product. It's just a tool, another tool of the state to keep people under control. That Lawrence is doing, like,
But you would think the Canadians would know that.
Well, no, but the Canadians can't. Yeah, so how the Canadians aren't getting that information to her, right? I mean, they don't even know there's a resistance.
No. But we saw in that video Luke at that rally. We stand with Chicago,
right?
So I mean, you would think if Canada knew that it was fake and there was no real resistance in Chicago.
No.
People in Canada would know.
No. I'm not talking about the resistance of Chicago. I'm talking about so we like Americans in Chicago, and we all think, "Ooh, yay, we win," and we find out that the insurgency, June's 5 people, this project at Lawrence's house, that's all fake. That really isn't going anywhere. Like everybody knows, like Waterford knows that this is happening. Like everybody knows that, or maybe not Waterford, but like a lot of people in the system know that there's I'm not talking about Chicago. There's a resistance in Gilead, right?
Yeah.
Of handmaids or something. But like they know it's there and they can just squash it anytime they want. They know exactly what they're doing because they're doing it in a fucking commander's house.
Well, okay, but I get that, but that seems totally different. I don't know how we got there from Chicago.
Oh, well, no, we were talking about like how it was going to end. I'm like, what I'm hoping for is that we find out. I want to end on a low note. Is I guess what I'm going for. I want to find out that all this work she's done, and maybe we see
that the end of finale is basically them being like, oh,
yeah,
good job on your plan.
So yeah, they just shoot all the people that she trained up, and say, all right, well, we're gonna need you to do it again. You just can't be too successful.
Oh, so she's the one. She's Neo.
Exactly. No, I think that's exactly what we're headed towards. Yes, I didn't want to make the analogy, but yes, that's basically the one. Yeah.
Okay. Well, the problem is the one doesn't work after they find out they're the one, right? So it's not what is June's impetus?
We'll kill Hannah.
Go through
we'll kill Hannah.
Okay, I still don't
ever underestimate a fascist ability to motivate you.
There's part of it
they don't mind their cliche.
There's part of me that would love that in a sense of, oh man, what a great Greek tragedy that would be.
Mm-hmm.
In a different time, I would appreciate that. In the times that we live in now, I don't know that I would appreciate that.
Well, you just want
I want to see the resistance score some wins.
You want catharsis. Yes. Okay.
I want to see the resistance score some wins. So I'm hoping that's what happens. But I
want catharsis.
I submit that it would be a deeper, more intrinsically tragic story if it went
darker
the
the night, the brighter the dawn. I'm just saying.
Well, okay.
Where we got to go up at season 5, right? Season 4. We got to go somewhere up right from here. So.
Well, okay, but at some point, right? Then it becomes. At some point, you have to commit to something. So then it becomes a Walking Dead situation where it's like every season, it's like, oh, we raise the stakes, but not really because something disastrous happens, but something disastrous always happens. And then we just keep going. Right. So you just have to go through the same bullshit cycle every 2 seasons. I don't want Handmaid's Tale to become that.
That's fair.
Because that's why I stopped watching Walking Dead.
Oh, so many reasons I stopped watching.
Well, yes, that was one of the biggest ones, though.
No.
So I don't want to see that. What I would prefer to see happen is something like we got with The Leftovers or The Americans, where it was at some point they sat there and decided, like, nope, this is how long the show is going to be. This is where it's going to end after this many seasons. Let's go ahead and wrap up the story, you know? And so maybe do that once, and maybe that is how the season 3 ends. And they go, you know what? 4 seasons, that's it. Right? We're ending this after season 4. And so season 4, you get your chance to have your big redemption from that. And then the actual catharsis at the end of season 4. If they do that, okay.
Yeah.
right?
That's what I'm hoping for.
But if they do that and then we get to season 3 and they're like, oh, we don't know, it could go for 4 more seasons, and I'm like, well, I didn't want that. I wanted some catharsis at some point, you know.
Well, okay. Can I say something dark? I do hope happens. I hope before the end of this, if there's a good ending, or when I say good ending, if there's an end to Gilead this season, if we see it end, the project, I hope we see them trying to erase the evidence. That's what I hope. I hope we see them like killing handmaids, trying to figure, just hide the evidence of the Holocaust, right? Just trying to hide it while the Americans and the Canadians or the Europeans are marching in, right? They're just trying to burn everything. I want that scene so bad.
I don't think that's going to happen this season.
No. I'm talking ultimately.
Yeah. Okay.
Ultimately, that's what I want before the end of Gilead. I want to see that them trying to hide it.
Okay.
Trumping it, if you will.
We call that obstruction.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could deal with not so much killing of the handmaids, but because I would like to see more of them survive.
Sure,
but
I mean, I'm talking from a thematic position.
Yeah, I got you. There's something to that Order 66 feeling, right? So, but at the same time, it would be a little too intense in this setting, I think.
I think it's going to be necessary. I think we have got because they do this dance with Waterford especially, and Lawrence. I'm worried they're going to start doing it with Lawrence more and more, where they show compassion. They treat the handmaid like a person, and they go back to treating them like an object suddenly when their mood changes, right? And they go back and forth. And I'm fine with that, but I do want the point made crystal clear that these people that they think of them as property.
Yeah.
Right. And the best way to do that is to say, well, I'm going to get in trouble for owning this property, so I should get rid of it.
Yeah.
And that will hammer it home that we never thought you were people.
Yeah.
And I think that'll be necessary.
Well, and then to make an analogy, right, at some point, it's interesting. I think it's important to point out that you can still be attached to and love, that they treat them more as like pets. Right?
Sure.
It's like you love your pet, you love your dog or whatever, something like that.
I'm told.
Yeah. Yes, most people do. But like we had to have one of our dogs put down because he tried to bite somebody, right? And like, okay, I love him, but like you can't do that, right? Because it's not a person, you know? You can't put down a person.
We're going to lose so many people over this. We're going to lose so many subscribers over this.
What?
People are weird about pets. I love your pet. If you're listening, I love your pet. I love your child. I love it.
Your child is not ugly at all.
Yeah,
Put more baby pictures on Facebook.
They're just as equal to everybody as people.
Yeah,
they have all the same rights, more even. Really, I'm so into them. Okay, that's our position. Our position.
That's our position.
Our position is that pets are better than people, and we're glad that you have them.
Well, that's not my position.
Pets
aren't better than people.
I don't want a pet because I don't deserve a pet. So this is where we are. That is Casual Ocean's official position
on Jason with Pets.
Pets are children, and I'm just not ready for a child, I guess. I don't know.
# woke Jason.
Yeah, no, I hate pets. I hate them.
It is one of those weird irrational things.
Yeah.
Although I gotta say, I love pets, but like, God, I wouldn't want to clean up with one now.
You love me, but if my hair was all over your clothes, you'd feel weird about it.
Well, your vapes are all over my everything. So what do you say about that?
It's better than hair. That's what I say about it.
It is easier to clean up. You don't have to vacuum it up.
Or lint roll it.
Actually, in some ways it's worse because if I accidentally...
Weren't we talking about Handmaid's Tale?
Yeah, if I accidentally vacuum up your vape, it's much worse than vacuuming up cat hair. So anyway, yeah, so with the whole Serena and June thing, so I guess Serena is now on board with being a spy for June. She gives her information about Hannah's school. So to me, June, if I had to levy a criticism against this show so far, it's that I feel like June pushes these conversations and these topics at times when I don't want her to, for two reasons. One, it feels when she does it, it comes off as manipulative. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And by that I mean, with Lawrence, right? Lawrence, her scene. That's why her scene with Lawrence was so good, because it was, there was a back and forth there. There was like a real moment of understanding and intelligence there, and rawness of emotion.
Mm-hmm.
She tried to manipulate him, and he's like, that doesn't work, right? And so there was some realness, and that realness is what he respected. Right. That's why that scene works so well. When I see her talking to the Waterfords, she always does that thing where she talks up, right? And she says something interesting. And then especially with Serena now, then she follows it up with, okay, here's my direct request for you for your treasonous acts.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And it's come so close that it feels like, why doesn't Serena push back on this?
Well, it's funny you say that, because it was directly, there was episode 3. He says, how did the Waterfords not see how transactional you are?
Yeah.
She says it. So yeah. So
he says it.
Yeah.
But yes, how do the Waterfords continue to not see
it?
I agree. It's frustrating.
Yeah.
It's frustrating because I know, okay, Fred's probably stupid, but we know that Serena's not stupid. And
I mean, she's not extra stupid.
She's not stupid.
She thought this was a good idea. Tell me about how she's not stupid.
Well,
you know nothing. I mean, she's
dumb. Raised as a fundamentalist. Did you see her mom? You saw her mom.
Yeah, she looks smart too.
I mean, she does look smart, but she's also awful.
You're making a common mistake and mistaking rich and mean for smart, and it's not the same.
Okay, but I think Serena actually is intelligent to some extent.
I think she might be a competent writer or speaker. I don't know what's smart about her.
Okay, well, I disagree.
She put this together. This is not great. I just don't think this is a good idea at all.
Well, no, but I mean, you don't.
How do you accidentally illiterate?
You can be smart and still make a bad idea.
She's so smart, she accidentally illiterated herself. Made herself illiterate. That's how smart I'm sorry, I just don't. Good idea, Serena. Everyone told you were wrong, and turns out you were wrong. So.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I see your point. I just think it's a little more multidimensional than that.
I don't think she's an incompetent person. I just don't think she's super duper clever.
Well, anyway, I think she's clever enough at least to see through it, because she did earlier. She went through this. We dealt with this multiple times in season 1, where June would try to appeal to Serena's something or other, and Serena would totally clap back at her.
Right.
And ruin her day. And that's why maybe not like her in those times.
Yeah.
And now she's not. And I feel like...
Well, they've gone back and forth on her character for sure.
They have gone back and forth on her character. And I feel like it feels like they're committing to one path now. And I hope that it's because she had that very transformational moment of deciding to get her daughter out of Gilead and to Canada.
Yeah.
And that is a very transformational moment.
Right. That smart people don't have to go through.
I feel like,
for the record.
Well, yeah, okay. But I feel like it's not being implemented. It's not being executed all that well.
Well, we got to give her a chance here. I'll give her a chance.
And there's also, so that's part of it. The other part of it is also just from a dramatic standpoint. That scene where June is talking to Serena, and she's talking about how, you made this hard decision for Nicole, and only a mother would do that, right? Because they're talking about, how do you remember Nicole? She's like, I remember her in the bath, blah blah blah. And Serena says, "Oh, she gets that from you." And Serena's like, "I'm not her real mother." And June says,
I hear you.
And that scene was so great. That moment was so great that from a storytelling perspective, I wanted it to end right there.
Oh yeah, for sure. But
and then she just kept talking, and then she kept talking about
bad.
oh, so now imagine all the other mothers, and you could try to help us. And I'm like, ugh.
Well,
I didn't need that. It kind of ruined the scene.
You say that, and I agree with your point thematically, but also we'd be irritated if we weren't super duper sure that Serena got the point, which was so it was kind of necessary for her to have to say, just like you, like your baby taken. To hear her say it was important, because otherwise we don't know if she's gonna switch again back to crazy mode, right? This kind of says, I've said it, but it's your baby, not mine, and all these other mothers had their babies taken. Like just confirming it out loud, because she's been so inconsistent.
I didn't need it to be so explicit, because we still could have had the payoff once we got to this episode, Like, imagine it had ended like that, and then you just see Serena having this thought process, and then we come into this episode, and we get what we get in this episode with them having their discussion. It still works.
Yeah.
And then
Sure,
that scene is
sure.
better.
That's true. No, yeah, as long as it happens somewhere. I don't disagree with you, really. Let me try and convince you one more time that she is not very smart. Honestly.
I don't care.
Oh, this is pretty good. So remember how she got her finger cut off? What was her plan? Her plan was to walk into this meeting and then break the law in front of them in this fascist Orwellian state. Right. And she thought she'd get away with it because she had the support of all her other wives. Right. Because she thought that she had political power somehow. There's a reason that you don't see like a huge mass of illegal immigrants at the protesting the wall at Washington. Right. That doesn't really happen. And that's because they don't have a lot of political power in our system, and neither do these wives. And so to think that they're good, that makes a difference.
I mean, the big flaw in your theory is that actually does happen.
It does happen?
Daily. Yeah, people protesting, including dreamers who came here undocumented.
It's just illegal, and not dreamers. I'm talking about proper illegal immigrants just get together in groups of 200-300, and they protest like publicly. That happens. That's what your claim seems to be. Because this group without political power, the wives, decided to just all get together and say, well, because we're all together, it makes a difference. But it doesn't, because they don't get a vote. That's clear. So this was always a bad idea.
I would say in Washington, probably not, but certainly in California, yes. Because in California, there's members of city council that are undocumented.
Sure, that's true, but that's not Gilead. That's not Gilead, right? I mean,
sure,
that's not a fascist state, right?
Right.
I would argue that what's going on with the wall is fascism, and there's a reason you don't see a bunch of illegal immigrants at Washington, right? On the steps of the Congress by themselves. Not that I'm not saying they don't protest. I'm just saying anywho. I think my point's where it is.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Okay.
That was a bad plan. That was a bad plan, Serena. That was never going to work. You don't have political power. Your constituency doesn't have political power. So it doesn't matter if you're all together. It still equals 0. So you got your finger cut off.
I don't necessarily know that they had 0 political power, but clearly they didn't have enough.
All it took to stop their political movement was cutting off the pinky finger of their leader.
Well, it didn't even take that for half of them.
Exactly.
Which June makes a point of.
Yeah.
But June also, his point is like, hey, the other half did stand beside you, and they might be willing to go further because all they've done so far is cut off a finger. It's not anything devastating.
Right. But if this was all about, but then again, if this is all about, this is going to have to be about like revolution, not reform. She was trying reform.
Oh, yeah.
That was a bad idea. You don't have a vote. And just because there's a whole bunch of you, Stalin doesn't give a shit how many there's. He'll starve every one of you. And every single one of you will say, God save Stalin before you die. So, yes, it's a terrible plan. I remember thinking it when it happened. I was like, why would this work?
Well, okay.
I see why you might kind of, if you're stupid, think that, because there's a whole bunch of people and there's safety in numbers, but not to fascists.
Well, okay. I guess if I think about it, objectively, I can think about there's still purpose in the symbolism. Now, that being said, I didn't get the impression that's what she was doing. So, like, there's purpose in the symbolism. If we had seen her go in and be like, this isn't going to work, so not going to work, I'm going to get punished for this, I'm going to get hanged for this, but I got to do something, I got to say something.
I'd feel differently.
Yes, but that's fair. And I guess maybe
she
I
was
looked
so
at it,
surprised.
I guess I looked through it for that. Yeah, I guess I looked at it through that tent, but clearly if I think back to it, that's not what her character did.
Yeah.
Her character did not see it going that way, and that was probably not smart to see it not going that way. So, oh well, I don't know. I still don't think. But then again, maybe I don't necessarily know that that's being stupid as much as maybe being naive.
Hey, you know what? Convince me I'm wrong, Serena.
Those are the same thing.
Convince me I'm wrong, Serena. Do something very clever. Impress me, Serena.
Yeah.
I can't think of one thing she's done that was super clever. I'm told she was a good writer and speaker.
Yeah.
And she was popular amongst some religious fundamentalists. I'm told that.
Yeah.
And,
But then again, they also read Bill O'Reilly books, so.
Right. So I'm told that about her. And I want to believe it. So do something. I think June's pretty smart. I do. I mean, I don't think that she's like a master technician, but I think she's pretty clever. She knows what tools she has, and she tries to use them. I actually don't
think she is, but I think she's getting there.
I think she knows she's transactional, but transactional isn't stupid. She does get her way sometimes, and her kid is one of her kids is safe.
That's fair.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, anyway, I think that about covers it. Do you have any other thoughts?
I love this. I love this show. I love talking about it. This is great.
All right.
Now,
so you recommend?
Of course, I recommend. I don't. This show, don't bother asking.
Okay.
Because I never dislike it.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm just so into this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I've disliked it at some points, but I'm really liking
because Orwellian catharsis can be done so bad, and this is so not bad.
Yeah.
Even when it's slow, it's like.
Well, to be fair, there's no catharsis yet.
I wouldn't say so. I would say there's been a steady trickle of catharsis, right? I mean, so you see
in season 3, we're getting it.
Even in season 2, when Serena got beat up. No, I'm not saying I enjoyed Serena getting beat up. No, I enjoyed, but what I got the catharsis is her realization. I don't know, just the point made that no, like I get to hit you too, right? Like this hierarchy, because you always saw her at the head of the pecking order. You know, maybe the commander was dismissive.
Yeah,
but you're not a person either. You're just a higher class of object, right? That it was catharsis to me because it vilified the commander even more, right? I don't know. So little things like that, showing other groups of people suffering under this same system, right? So because you like to think, because you really think the ultimate argument of this government is that really the only people who we're stealing from are these handmaids, right? They're sacrificing for us, but the party line is, it's the handmaids that, we're having to do this bad stuff to. And it's, better doesn't mean better for everybody. That stuff that Waterford was saying, that's about this situation. But ultimately, everybody suffers under a fascist system except probably one person, right?
Yeah.
And I like seeing that. That's catharsis for me in these systems, right? It's just
I guess that's the difference. I don't think of that as catharsis.
And seeing that it doesn't work for anybody except at the very top. Right.
Yeah.
That point needs to be made because people will. I mean, it's like when you talk about you don't like how Nazis in future fantasy stuff, they always have they're always super technologically advanced.
Yeah.
If the Nazis had won, right? I don't think it would have worked. I don't think it would work that way because fascism. Right. I don't think fascism works.
Yeah, obviously.
I mean, not. When you have a very literate society. I mean, I guess Rome worked, right?
Yeah.
But
because the most literate people tend to be but the most literate people tend to be revolutionaries, and if you kill all your most literate people when they try to revolution, that's not a very good recipe for advancing your society. So
exactly,
yeah, no, I totally agree. I guess I wouldn't consider those moments catharsis personally. I would consider it just tragedy, and there's entertainment value in tragedy, clearly.
I guess to me, there's an argument being made by these people. There's an argument being made by the ends justify the means, right? And I like to, and the catharsis for me is seeing them shown they're wrong.
Yeah.
That this ends justify the means argument for fascism is not a good argument. It will hurt. It will eat all of you. It will eat you whole.
Well, okay.
And that feels.
But the only person we've seen that happen to is Serena. We haven't seen it really from any of the other commanders' wives.
Putnam lost a whole hand.
The guy?
Yeah, of Warren's.
Yeah.
For what? A blowjob.
But he's still part of. He's a fucking idiot.
Okay.
So he's not.
He's a
not
commander.
On this revolutionary board now.
But no. But I'm sorry. I'm just.
I don't think he learned any lesson. The only lesson he learned was don't sleep with a handmaid extracurricularly. Right. Like Serena learned a lesson that I'm still property, but he's like, hey, I broke this law. I got to be more discreet about my affairs, otherwise I'll lose a hand.
I don't care if they learn it. I'm not talking about. I don't care about the villain's growth. I'm talking about making the point thematically that all of these people suffer under this system.
Okay, but again, I don't care about his suffering because he was raping a woman.
I agree with you.
Are
you saying that I feel bad that he got his hand cut off?
It seemed like that's what you're making.
That's ridiculous. No, I'm saying that a commander suffering, a commander on the wall, this kind of stuff showing that anyone can get taken out of the game in a fascist system over nothing. That's the everybody suffering. Why would you have this system? I don't know.
Well, I think my disagreement is I just don't think it was over nothing. Like if they had cut off his hand because he because he gave his wife
good
a book.
Point. Okay,
you see what I'm saying?
I do see what you're saying, but that's not what we're disagreeing. I don't know what we're disagreeing. I'm telling you, the catharsis I get is that when the argument they're putting forward is shown to be false, right? They're saying the ends justify the means, right? And this will make a better world, even for just a small few. But that small few that is better off because the system just gets smaller and smaller. I agree with you. Putnam didn't learn that. I don't disagree.
It's not even about learning. It's even about like I didn't find that a particular like it's a particularly grotesque form of punishment.
Yeah.
But the fact that he got punishment, then he broke one of the few good rules they have, which is like, hey, don't assault the handmaids extracurricularly.
Yes.
Only assault them in this time period where we've determined that this is acceptable.
Right.
But like, don't do it recreationally.
But think about it from the perspective of Animal Farm, right? The pigs are in charge. They think they're in charge, right? So he thinks he can rape a lady and it's no big deal, however he likes. But he forgets there's still rules that he has to follow, right? He thinks he's the top. He ends up doing this.
Yeah.
And then he ends up losing a hand for it. So he's just as much a pawn as his wife, he's just as much property of the state, right? That being expressed thematically is catharsis for me, right? Because because they're saying, there's a few of us. Because I remember the original argument the commander's making to the handmaid is that this is better for us. Now we can have a family, it's a child. It costs you, right? You have to suffer because of our sins or whatever. But ultimately, this is better for some people. But that some people, that group doesn't exist. Everybody's living in fear.
The official party line is that this is better for humanity. This is necessary for survival.
That's true too.
So I don't think they've ever made the argument that we're subjugate. I think the party line is quite the opposite. That you're providing a service and you're going to be rewarded for it.
Okay.
You're rewarded for it because you're not a Martha.
That's fine.
You're not in the colonies.
That's fine. That's a different.
And you'll be rewarded for it by God.
I find then that's a different end. But still, the ends justify the means. That argument in general for fascism is not a good one. Anyhow.
Okay. Well, anyway, overall, yeah, I totally recommend. I'm still interested to see it pick up and to get more towards the espionage stuff because I would like to see that.
Oh yeah,
but I do worry a little bit about June's plot armor because it's just like she just keeps getting away with so much that nobody else in this fascist regime is getting away with.
Now you say that, and I'm willing to believe it, but I often don't pay attention. Now I noticed it in Game of Thrones. Don't get me wrong. Sorry, I noticed it in Game of Thrones, but I don't seem to notice it with June. I probably just didn't notice.
Well,
it.
I mean,
so
okay, so she has openly rebelled multiple times. They caught her earlier this season. What do they call it? Gossiping at the market. Obviously, she's been caught twice sneaking off to see her kid from before they were separated, right? Like, and she hasn't even lost an eye like Janine did.
That's true. I see that. I guess I've given June a little bit of a wide berth on what she's allowed to do just by virtue of being Lawrence's handmaid. I guess I thought
that's only been the last few episodes.
No, I know, but she's been a whole lot more. This is where the plot armor's been serious, right? Like she's been the most,
Sure.
She's directly said awful or insubordinate shit in public, that kind of stuff. But she's more aggressive with her walking partner. All this stuff.
But the thing is, I don't think Lawrence is like going to bat for her in meetings.
No, I don't either. I
don't know if that has an effect.
I think that people who maybe know who she is and don't, or know which handmaid she is and doesn't want to piss Lawrence off. I'm not saying Lawrence.
Maybe I haven't gotten that, but I could believe that. That's honestly that was in the back of my mind every time I've seen it. It's like, okay, they deliberately made Lawrence untouchable. They show that he can do whatever he wants. Yeah.
So his dog
come to his house.
Yeah. So his dogs can do whatever they want, and by dogs I mean handmaids from their perspective, right? So his pets can do whatever they want. Don't mess with the commander's pets.
I guess I didn't get that.
Even in Star Trek.
I guess I could get that vibe I guess I didn't get that vibe, but I could understand that, and it would make sense.
But it could go too far. But it could definitely go too far.
But to me, the plot armor goes beyond that.
Yeah.
All the time that she was with the Waterfords, and it's just, and even with Aunt Lydia, right? Aunt Lydia knows, like, hey, we caught you at the Mackenzies, and you're gossiping and stuff like that, and it's like, okay, but like you were stoning people to death and cutting hands and cutting out eyes for lesser stuff than this. It seems like she's just getting a lot of leeway even before Lawrence.
Sure.
So, but it doesn't bother me a lot. You expect some amount of plot armor, especially like Game of Thrones. Part of the problem was the show was built on not having plot armor. So then when it got there and it was so bad, that was what's frustrating about it. When you have a show that's about a main character, that character necessarily has to have some kind of plot armor if you're going to keep the show going.
Sure.
So I have a more leeway for it.
Sure.
So, and I have more leeway for it than I did with Game of Thrones, and it has been less egregious than Game of Thrones. Therefore, it's not a point of concern, but it is. I think about it from time to time.
I would hate more plot armor than this.
Yes.
I'd say that. I can live with this.
They're at the edge.
I can live with this. I can live with this.
Yeah.
One last thing. I love talking about the groups. I just do. I love talking about the wives and the husbands and the handmaids and how they all have, like, what they have power over. And I was just thinking, like, they really can kill the wives, and in a way that they just can't just kill all. So when they put all of the handmaids on gallows to scare them to make a point.
Yeah, when you knew that that was fake.
Right, but they could.
What are you gonna do?
they could have culled half the wives and given younger ones to the commanders. That could absolutely. I kind of want them to explore the fact that the wives actually don't have power.
They have less than the handmaids.
The handmaids actually have bargaining chips.
Yeah.
Right. As a collective, they can do the self-immolation.
The wives have. Yeah, the wives have more than the Marthas, maybe.
Yeah, the self-immolation. Self-immolation is a real form of protest, and if you're the only one who got babies, it could be an effective form of protest.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I want them to be some suicide bombers or whatever, but
right.
But
well, I mean, it's already happened once.
It has already happened, but I mean, just as a, I don't know if you've read Dune. Oh, well, they basically is that. It's like, I have the most important resource in the world. I'm king now.
So
Spice.
Yeah.
Right. Melange. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like exploring that. I like people being shown that they actually do or don't have, like, real political power. Right. And the handmaids have a lot, and I would love to see them leverage that somehow.
Yeah. Well, and I do think that's where we're going.
I hope so.
I hope we see some of that.
Yeah.
But I don't necessarily hope that we see the wives realize they don't have political power. I hope we see them realize that they have power not through political bargaining, but through transparency. They can go places and they can do things without people suspecting them.
Sure.
And that way they can do espionage.
Yeah.
In the shadows, but they couldn't do outright protest. That was a mistake. That was a tactical mistake.
Yes, they don't have.
If they weren't trying to make a point.
Yep, they don't. Yeah.
Which it actually wasn't a tactical mistake, because I do feel like it made the point, and I think it will help at some point. But just they didn't realize it. They didn't plan it, so I have a hard time giving them credit for it. Right? For going and reading and getting Serena.
Oh,
getting everything cut off.
yeah.
I don't think it was a tactical mistake. I think it was good symbolism, and I think it will come up later.
Sure.
But I don't think she thought of that, and therefore she doesn't get credit for
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. But just remember, she got beat by her husband. They're allowed to beat their wives.
Yeah. On the other hand,
there's no aunt for her.
On the other hand,
the wives don't have aunts.
Okay, but on the other hand, she also does have some power, because she burned their house down and gave their kid away, and he's not turning her in.
That's true. She could become a problem.
So yeah. But she does have power, but she has power in her ability to control Fred specifically and get him to protect her. And then also in her transparency, like I said, to be able to go places and do things that handmaids can't. She can go places independently. She can go to her mom's. She can travel. Right. This is a thing that she can do that handmaids can't.
Sure.
And so she can serve a different role.
Right.
And all the wives can.
Yes.
So they do have power. It's just, yes, probably not political power.
Yeah. I'm talking about political power. That's what I just find it interesting.
Yeah. Well, anyway, so that was a little bit of a meandering discussion there.
Well, because sorry, I know, and I'm sorry,
it was good.
It's not going to stop though, because it gets so interesting. Because the ants, I don't really understand. I understand the dynamics between the commanders and the wives and and the handmaids, and I think I have a pretty good understanding of where the power actually is and where it's perceived to be. But with the ants, I'm not even clear that they're part of the government.
No, I think they are, but they're to me they're equivalent to Martha's. They're fulfilling a role.
Right, but they can actually get commanders in trouble for hurting handmaids. That can be done. So if you're hurting,
yes, because there is the rules that around how you're supposed to treat handmaids.
Yeah,
which are for it's the quote unquote accountability.
Right.
It's like, what are the first thing fascist governments always do? They go in, they always run on anti-corruption, right? We're going to clean up corruption, right? And now what do they usually do? They usually use that as a tool to take out their political enemies, right? But there's also a part of it that is, that's what gets the fascist coalition built, is convincing people that you're ending corruption when you go after your political enemies, right? And I think this is a vestige of that. This is them being like, no, we have rules. Nobody, the official line of the party is nobody is above the law. We have rules. Every once in a while, just like Lauren said, with every once in a while you got to let the rabble rousers do it, or they'll burn everything down. Every once in a while you got to hang a commander, or everybody below it won't believe that it's real. They'll see through the veneer that this is all just a good old boys club, right? And every once in a while we got to pick the one we like the least and cut a hand off, or you see what I'm saying? And the aunts are a good way to facilitate that, right? And one of the things that's weird is we haven't seen a top level leader in Gilead, right?
It's a republic. It's a Republic of Gilead.
Well, I know, but like, okay. But either way, they're fascists, right?
Yeah, so, right. But well, you don't have to be elected.
Like, because like no aunt was ever going to be able to be like, hey, Hitler beat a handmaid, and so therefore let's hang Hitler, right? That was never going to happen. But there's no person sitting at the top in Gilead that I don't know would be safe in that way.
Exactly.
And I think that is going to add even more to its instability.
Well, that was actually Oceania's model, I'm pretty sure, in 1984. It was the country's.
Yeah.
That was, I think it was called Oceania.
That was one of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that was the one they were in.
Yeah,
obviously.
And I think that was right. They didn't have. I mean, they had a big brother top, but I don't know that he was real even.
Yeah, I don't think he was.
Yeah.
But that's my point. Even they had a figurehead. I haven't seen Gilead even have a figurehead.
Right.
Unless it's supposed to be Jesus. But I haven't heard him refer to it that way.
Sure.
So it's just. Yeah, I just don't know what the limit of that goes. But I think I think any of these aunts are expendable. At any point, they could just take Lydia out.
That's
and hang
exactly.
Her
that's kind of my point, though, right? It's because, like, with the SS, people, at least the way it's portrayed now. I don't know if I wasn't there, but it makes sense to me that people were scared when they showed up.
Yeah.
People aren't scared when Aunt Lydia shows up, but people don't lie to her either. Or they don't disrespect her directly often, right? But so it's weird.
Sure.
I'm not really sure where she stands. Is it just like you're saying? It's just like the option. We want her around to have the option to use her to get to take out someone on the top of the chessboard. But I think so. I find that the aunt's confusing, and I think that's been deliberately done because we don't know anything about it.
Yeah, I think. Well, I hope it's deliberately done. I think it's more just I didn't even think about it, so I hope it's more just, or I think it's just more that they just didn't give enough thought to it.
Yeah, how do you? Well, I hope we find out how do you become an aunt. What is the motivating? What is aunt school like?
Yeah, how do you go from Martha to an aunt,
right?
For example, I don't know how that works.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if we're gonna get Aunt Lydia's backstory, I guess. Who
drives their work? Who's the top of the aunt? What commander?
I guess it's Lydia, at least here.
But surely at the top there's a man. Surely at the top there's a commander somewhere that's in charge of the aunt program.
Well, I mean, they probably. Well, again, who's the figurehead of Gilead? It's probably just the government. The party tells the Lydias or tells the aunts what to do.
In fact, I argue that if you wanted to destabilize Gilead, the power the aunts have over the handmaids makes them pretty dangerous. I bet we find out they're autonomous. I bet we find out they're an autonomous group. They work for they're
well, in that case they're more an analog to the KGB.
Yeah, I'm thinking that's what it's like.
Okay.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
And then we find that they end up facilitating a lot of the revolution.
Yeah. Well, and the KGB was right. It was an arm of the state to help keep party members in line. That was the whole point.
I don't have that much knowledge about it, but yeah, that's
well.
yeah,
The
that
party
makes sense.
members also feared the KGB, and that was a way of keeping them in line.
Mm-hmm.
It could be the same thing here, and but then there were also times like Gorbachev was afraid of the KGB. Again, watch The Americans, great show. It goes into detail about this stuff. Not detail, but you kind of see it on the other end. Like they talk, the last season of that show is very much about Gorbachev being like the KGB and members of the party fighting against them internally, and using spy resources to counter other spy resources that were doing things with the official government. And so it feels like the Lydias or the aunts have that kind of dynamic going on. So it would be interesting.
That would be super cool. Yeah.
So
anyway, sorry, that's all I got this time. This is gonna be this bad every time, listeners. Honestly, I just get into the stuff on this.
Well, anyway.
Yeah.
All right. Well, with that, I think we'll go ahead and wrap up. This has been our review of Handmaid's Tale, season 3, episode 4. God bless the child.
You made it all the way to the end.
Yeah. You know what? If you made it all the way to the end, I want you to type the special number that Jason's going to give you right now. Type it in the comments.
It's going to be what number? What number should I pick?
I don't know, but knowing you, it's going to be a prime number.
No, I'll do a normal number. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. ...
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. ...
Yeah, it just goes on and on. It's called a normal number.
Okay.
Because
anyway,
it contains all numbers. You can find any pattern you want in it.
If you want more of this content, go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Follow us on social media: twitter.com/casualnotion, instagram.com/casualnotion, facebook.com/casualnotion. Follow us on Twitch, twitch.tv/casualnotion. We'll be doing these reviews every Wednesday, so you look for them Wednesday night, hopefully uploaded. And yeah, let us know your thoughts. What do you think about all of the conspiracy theories we had? Because we covered a range of topics today.
Yeah, I have fun.
So anyway, unless you have anything else, Jason.
No, I'm good. I'm out.
All right. Until next time, keep it casual, everyone.
All right, bye.
Bye.